John, thanks for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Like we talked about before, I appreciate the fact that you come in on time. It really helps me out, puts me in a position where I can keep things moving during the day. It also gets you out of here quicker, and so I really appreciate that. And also the fact that I noticed that that you made some payments on your supervision fees. That was nice. It really,
Yeah,
means
I
that I
got
got
a job,
some-
so I was able to throw something in the old.
Excellent.
Yep.
Really appreciate it. Just kind of set the stage. I just kind of wanted to find out how things are going now. Any emergencies? Any situations that have come up since the last time I saw you?
Everything's going good. I got a job and working, and yeah, things are fine.
All right. So I already talked about you paid your fees. I know that you had a little bit of community service work that you were supposed to do. Did you get on
I'm
that?
scheduled, so this coming weekend and next weekend I'll have it
Okay, so
figured
you
out.
got it scheduled, all set to go this weekend and next weekend. You paid on your fees. You were set up for an evaluation. Did you get a date on that, or?
The drug and alcohol eval?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going through interchange, and that's, I think, the first week in November.
Okay, so a little ways out.
Yep.
But, okay. All right, so no emergency situation. Sound like you're working.
Yep.
Things are going well for you, at least right now. So
Yep.
Excellent. All right, so kind of in review, last time you came in, we did the LSCMI, and we went through and scored that out. And I told you when you came in this time that we would sit down and go over those scores.
Okay.
Do you kind of remember that assessment?
Yeah,
you did?
totally, yeah.
Okay.
All the questions and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. It took us about an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did was I went ahead and printed out just kind of an overall view of the scores.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted to share that with you.
All right.
That's what we have here. And I'll just give that to you.
Okay.
As you can see, there were some areas that showed up as higher than others. And just to kind of set the stage, when we look at these things, there are areas that can't be changed, and there are areas that can be changed. Okay? And so the area that can't be changed is, of course, historical stuff. So anything that you've done in the past, like convictions, that kind of stuff, we can't change that. It is, it is what it is. I call that the, just the background information.
All right.
Okay. Now, it is true that you might have heard this before, that the best predictor of what's going to happen in the future is what's happened in the past. You ever heard that before?
Yeah.
What's that mean to you?
I mean, basically, so if I'm involved in a lot of crimes and, I've done a lot of drugs, that I'm more likely to be involved in more crime and use more drugs.
Right. The opposite is also true, right? Though, if in the past someone's gone out, they've done a lot of good work and they've done a lot of good things, generally in the future, they're probably going to do the same kind of thing, right?
I'd like to think that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's when we talk about those things that you can't change. That's the domain there that's called criminal history. Okay.
All right, I see that.
So when you look at that, it is in the medium range. All that means is that there's enough history there to have driven it up to that level. Okay. The other domains actually can be changed. So they're what we call dynamic. They move in and out depending upon life circumstances, right?
Okay.
And so when we look at this, the two areas that came up as the highest were actually employment and education. Oh, excuse me, I actually got that wrong. Family and marital, and pro-criminal attitudes and orientation. Okay? So let me explain that a little bit. Family marital is pretty self-explanatory. We talked about your family. You're estranged from your parents.
Right.
You don't have a lot of contact with your siblings. The past relationships have been problematic. Some drug use going on with girlfriends and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of self-explanatory, but sometimes people, when we talk about pro-criminal attitudes, they go, well, I don't have pro-criminal attitudes. What are you talking about? It's more about kind of built-in belief systems than anything else, and that's one area that can be changed. So when we talk about that, don't some folks jump to, well, the guy's saying I'm a criminal. That's not what it says. What it says is that it could be impulsivity. It could be lack of problem-solving skills. It could be a lot of things that play into pro-criminal attitudes. It's not always just, hey, I think it's okay to commit a crime.
I see.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so those were the two highest areas. There were some other problematic areas. And anything that's medium or higher is considered to be kind of problem.
So that's that M?
That's the M,
Okay.
right? And the other areas that scored into the medium range were around drugs, and I also neglected to mention companions. So that would be
Okay.
people you associate
Oh,
with,
okay.
both good and bad, right?
Right.
So one of the things to think about as we walk through this and we start talking about, creating a case plan and what we're going to do through the next 18 months is that this is both negative and positive. So, right?
Okay.
So you could have bad, or I could have bad companions. I could have
Right.
people that are negative and that are constantly I'm getting in trouble with and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. I could also have positive companions, people that I don't
yeah.
get in trouble with, right? And
Okay.
So when we talk about those areas, it's both sides of the coin. All right. And overall, you scored into what's called the very high range.
Oh.
Okay. What that
Is that
means?
bad?
Well, it can be.
Oh.
Okay. One of the things about any of these assessments is that it's really the individual that determines whether or not the assessment's true. And what I mean
Okay.
by that is that if we take 100 people and we say they're very high, maybe 70 of them are going to go out and commit another crime.
Gotcha.
So that's essentially what it's saying. The problem is I can't say, and it can't say whether that's you, right?
Gotcha.
So it's up to you whether or not you're the 70 or you're the 30.
I see.
Okay.
Okay. I want to be the 30.
And that's where we want you to be, right?
Okay.
So when we look at that, remember that score can go down
Okay.
depending on how you do between now and the next 6 months. And that's what we're going to work towards, is
All right.
driving that score down so that you get out of that range so that there's less risk that you'll go back to prison
Right.
or
Okay.
be involved in the system, which is what we both want.
Right.
Okay, okay, so does that make sense to you?
Yes, I
Okay.
think so. So, I mean, these areas that are higher or across, over to the right, those are the areas that are more likely to lead me to do more crime or to be involved in the things that are not so great.
Could, okay, and that's the important thing where I was talking about both the
Okay.
positive and negative, because it could
Oh,
also
okay.
be that there's an absence of kind of support systems.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, it's both sides of the coin. So we want to make sure, I really want to focus on the areas that you have strength in and
Okay.
use those to help us overcome any areas that maybe are a little weaker,
Okay.
right? So what I'm going to ask you to do, since it sounds like you have a pretty good understanding of this,
Yeah.
and if we'll be talking about this more as we move along, is I'm going to ask you before you come in the next time, I'm going to give you this copy, it's your information.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to think about those areas, and I'd like you to pick one
Okay. Of these 4 areas.
of those very highest areas.
Okay.
And remember, not criminal history, not
Right.
overall score.
Okay.
One of those things that we can
All right.
that we can really work with.
Okay.
Pick one of those, and when you come back, we'll create a case plan around
Oh,
that. We'll set
all
some
right.
goals. We'll start working towards achieving that. Now, one thing I do want to caution, just make sure we're both on the same page on this. There are conditions that the board set, like
Right.
community service and,
Yeah.
and those things that are important, and we need to make sure you achieve those. And I want to make sure that whatever we do for a case plan integrates all that, puts
Okay.
all that stuff together. So you're
Gotcha.
not given 100 things to do. Because,
Okay.
you got life to live, you got a
Right.
job, you got family, those things. So I want to make sure that this all fits together in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So what
So-
I'll do. Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
so I was just gonna say. So when I come back, I need to have one area picked out that I want to work on or make a goal around or something.
Yes, and I'm going to go make sure that I put that into an
Okay.
action plan for you, so that you don't
Okay.
have to try to
Okay.
remember it, so that it's available to you. And I'll ask you to come back in 2 weeks,
Okay.
so that we can go over that, and we'll set the goal, we'll set your plan, and we'll set things in motion. Sound
Okay.
good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right.
Thank you
thanks.
very much.
You're welcome.